Hello and welcome to another Ninja Review. I'm your host, Ninja Jordan, and today I'd like to talk about a game that's very special to me. I remember the first time I played Earthbound. I was just a little ninja kid, and my experience with RPGs was limited to games like Pokemon and Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy II on the Game Boy probably being the most complex RPG I had played at the time. But then I played Earthbound, and my understanding of video games completely changed. It was minimalistic yet extremely stylish, its gameplay was familiar yet unique, and its whole vibe was bizarre yet extremely charming, despite being surprisingly dark at times. Earthbound cemented its place in my heart and remains one of the games I play to remind myself that games are still worth defending as an art form. I bring this up because it's not often that a game comes around and shakes me right to the core, affecting me for weeks. Games that fill me with joy over how great it was, and also terrible melancholy that I can never experience it for the first time ever again. Undertale is one of those games. Since I first completed it back in 2015, rarely a week goes by when I find myself not listening to the soundtrack or just thinking about the game in general. And I know you may be wondering why I'm just now reviewing a 3.5-year-old game when literally the entire internet has already done so, and to that I say, because I'm an actual ninja? So, using my heightened reflexes and cosmic intellect, let's take a look at Undertale. Created by Toby Fox, Undertale was originally released for PC on September 15, 2015. It tells the story of a human who falls into a mysterious cave inhabited by monsters. These monsters used to live among the humans until a war broke out and the humans sealed them behind a magic barrier, trapping them in the cave forever. What follows is a story of love, loss, and friendship as the player journeys to the barrier to escape from the cave and return to the surface. However, it's not exactly that simple. In fact, things rarely are in Undertale. Actually, Undertale is one of the most ninja video games I've ever played. It's a master of deception, and there's so much hiding in plain sight that you don't even realize is there until it's too late. While the narrative may seem straightforward, it's filled with twists and turns that consistently keep you guessing, as friends become enemies, enemies become friends, and subtle clues suggest there's something much bigger going on under the surface. No pun intended. Backing the story is a collection of interesting, funny, and extremely likable characters, and while none of them join you on your adventure, they add a lot of color to the game's story and leave lasting impressions on the player. Additionally, dialogue choices can affect how each character reacts to you, and what can be a pleasant experience for one player might be incredibly awkward for another. Interestingly enough, Undertale's story goes hand in hand with its gameplay. Undertale takes the form of a turn-based RPG, where players randomly encounter monsters and fight to gain EXP to increase their LV. However, much like its story, it's not quite as simple as that. For starters, unlike traditional RPGs, Undertale takes a unique approach to enemy attacks. Instead of simply attacking and the player taking damage, enemy attacks take the form of a bullet hell-style minigame, as players must move their soul, represented by a little heart, to dodge projectiles and avoid damage. Once again, this may seem simple and straightforward at first, but Undertale consistently finds ways to shake things up, changing the color of your soul in certain fights and applying different effects to it. But Undertale changes up the combat in a more drastic way by allowing players to find non-violent solutions to each encounter. This is where the combat ties into the story in a big way, as who you choose to kill and who you choose to spare will change certain elements of the game's progression, and in some drastic cases, will change the game entirely. Undertale completely subverts the entire RPG genre, taking everything you might know about RPGs and flipping it upside down. In this way, it's probably most reminiscent of Earthbound, although it is worth mentioning that Toby Fox was largely inspired by the Mother series. While Undertale takes a simple 8-bit style, it does a lot with color and detail while maintaining an aesthetic of simplicity. Like Earthbound, environments are beautifully crafted or often very empty, creating a hollow, vast atmosphere that works really well given the cavernous setting. Enemies in battle have a detailed yet simplistic paper doll aesthetic that does a lot with positive and negative space, allowing for them to have movement, but for that movement to feel somewhat off and unsettling. Undertale's soundtrack is simply astounding, and where the game's Earthbound inspiration really shines through. Every track perfectly suits the game's weird yet welcoming environments, individual character themes add a lot to each character's personality, and get even better when they're amped up during battles. Fox composed the entire soundtrack himself, and here's just a sampling of how incredible it is. But where Undertale really sets itself apart is in its meta design, particularly within the narrative. It was something that genuinely floored me when I experienced this early part of the game. Only to have my game crash shortly after. When I reloaded the game, that same conversation took an interesting turn. One of the more subtle aspects of Undertale's story is the idea of multiple realities, multiple timelines, and the persistence of the soul. And there are so many moments where experiencing them multiple times will yield different results. This is further achieved by Fox's use of leitmotifs within the music, as so many of the various themes have similar note arrangements, and even though they're all different, they're meant to sound familiar, as if you've heard them before. Undertale is a masterpiece. It's like Earthbound if it were a Hayao Miyazaki movie. Beautiful, strange, interesting, and profoundly unique. It's a genuine work of art that stays with you long after you've completed it. It transcends being just a game and becomes something like fond memories. Memories that you'll always treasure. Undertale gets 5 ninja stars out of 5, and the official ninja seal of approval. Well, thanks again for watching. This was a real special one for me, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Was Undertale just as special for you? If not, which games are? And if you'd like to see more reviews by an actual ninja, subscribe to my channel. But for another ninja review, this has been your Ninja Jordan. Goodbye.